Walking along the path to the brunch, we stopped to stare at a mountain. The snarky, sparkly Briton and I were in awe. Golden leaves, white bark trees, snow. Take a picture. Opposite that monolith was Timpanogos, the sleeping woman, who our husbands did not see spooning the vows as they were home, a quick flight for me, something like a day for her. It was a gamble for me to go alone, not really knowing anyone, to Utah for this wedding. But the bride and groom have refined taste in weddings and college roommates and seating charts and centerpieces and Malbec and mountains. I was hungover from wine and dancing along with everyone in the Britain, and I gambled by only eating a bagel before we drove to the airport. The Briton, between jokes and stories, took pictures out the window of my rental as we flew down through Sundance, Provo, Salt Lake, talking of Facebook, our families, husbands. Then I was alone in the Salo Southwest terminal, and I called my husband. My voice speedy with coffee and fatigue and details of the wedding. I studied the other passengers waiting to fly, trying to decide whether someone could just look Mormon. And I wondered if the mountains surrounding the lake were made of salt, and if so, sacred. I flipped through the pictures on my phone, stopping myself from snapping one of the track-suited Vegas-bound gamblers. He was in a rusted wheelchair, and she was deaf, unaware how piercingly shrill her gambling predictions were, as well as unlikely. I sat as far away from them as I could, and the husband noticed others do the same. A girl across the aisle had a toy camera, and she took pictures, capturing the barren, yellowed farms below. I felt faint, queasy, and I blamed the wedding, the bagel, all that wine, always my drinking. Even the thin air in the mountains on making me want to find one of those bags I stole as a kid whenever we'd fly. Laying over in Vegas, cradling a commode in a men's room, bagel trail mix coffee flew from me, and I cried and I whined, and none of the travelers or lurkers or gamblers said a word. One stared as I washed my sweater at the sink. It was darn right mountainous, the humiliation of bile, the tingling of the blinking slots, the smell of cinnamon, my husband waiting for me and wondering in San Diego, my restless refusal to ask for help. I was wedded to dying flying over Barstow. No. I interrupted a texting TSA. She, the inevitable picture of laziness, then help erupted. EMTs, firemen, watching me panic. Just take a picture. Hyperventilation prickles, then freezes into nothing. I thought I was dying as I was flying through the terminal on the gurney, the EMT yelling at a deaf man in the way, wedding urgency and irony, even as I vomited on his ambulance and my chest. Tourists and gamblers filled the ER with their chest pains, migraines, bloodstains, and I said, I have to call my husband. This wasn't my imagined Utah. No one flinched but me, and I was under a numb mountain. 6 hours of sticky cold, pictures of blood in my IV, and Doc said, vertigo. Cheap gamblers held weddings at the simulacra I chose for the night. Excalibur, I told my husband, is the tackiest place on earth. But the staff, for me, ragged and teary and desperate to fly home, they moved mountains.